In professional wrestling, your gear isn't just something you throw on, it's your identity. It tells the crowd who you are before you even say a word. Whether you're a mysterious anti-hero, a wild showman, or a larger-than-life legend, your look becomes part of your legacy. And hey, if you love videos like this that dive deep into wrestling's greatest moments, gimmicks, and gear, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join the Wrestling Sphere family. We've got plenty more where this came from. Now, let's jump into the 11 wrestlers who didn't just wrestle hard, but dressed like absolute icons. 1. Rey Mysterio, the man whose mask never gets old. In the world of professional wrestling, if there's one name synonymous with a mask, it's Rey Mysterio. He's not just a wrestler, Rey is a living embodiment of lucha libre culture, where the mask is more than a disguise. It's the soul of a centuries-old tradition. But what truly sets Rey apart is the way he constantly reinvents that mask. Over decades in the ring, he's donned hundreds of different designs, bold colors, intricate patterns, and inspiration drawn from movies, comic books, and pop culture. Rarely does he ever wear the same one twice. Rey's gear is always iconic, crafted with meticulous attention to detail. One unforgettable moment came at Halloween Havoc 1997, when he stepped into the ring wearing a sleek purple bodysuit and a vibrant mask, facing off against Eddie Guerrero in a match still talked about to this day. That outfit didn't just pop on screen, it made him look like a Marvel superhero come to life. Behind most of Rey's legendary masks is Japanese designer Masahiro Hayashi, who treats each one as a one-of-a-kind piece of art. Rey doesn't need to cut long promos or boast. His presence alone, combined with his signature gear, commands attention. Even during those rare, dramatic unmasking moments, a huge deal in lucha libre, Rey never loses his aura. He's not just a performer, he's a living icon who knows how to turn his outfit into a statement that speaks volumes. 2. Rob Van Dam, spray painting the ring like a street artist. In a sport where most wrestlers try to stand out through attitude or signature moves, Rob Van Dam took a different route. He let his attire speak for itself. Every time he walked down that ramp, RVD treated the ring like his personal runway, showcasing his wild creativity through gear that looked more like wearable artwork than typical wrestling outfits. From Eastern-inspired dragons and yin-yang symbols to bold, stylized RVD lettering, no two outfits were ever alike. Each one captured his energy, flair, and unmistakable presence. What made his gear truly unique was how it was made. Not mass-produced or machine-printed, but hand-airbrushed with care and precision by artist Joe Holland, week after week. Every outfit Rob wore felt fresh, fierce, and deeply personal. It wasn't just what he wore, it was how he wore it. His look became part of his entrance, his vibe, his brand. One of his most talked-about singlets featured blazing orange tiger stripes, an eye-popping piece that followed him from the hardcore chaos of ECW to the grand stages of WWF. Though variations of it popped up throughout his career, that design remains one of the most iconic. RVD didn't just wow crowds with his gravity-defying frog splash, he impressed with his fashion game too. For him, wrestling gear wasn't just clothing, it was a bold declaration of identity, style, and a rebellious spirit that nobody else could replicate. 3. Kurt Angle, a wrestler who wore the American flag with every step. From the moment Kurt Angle stepped into WWE, he made no effort to hide his burning patriotism. It radiated through every entrance and every suplex. But instead of just talking about his love for his country, he wore it, literally. His ring attire, often inspired by Olympic wrestling singlets, was always drenched in the red, white, and blue of the American flag. Clean, bold, and powerful. His gear reflected exactly who he was. Not just an Olympic gold medalist, but a walking symbol of American pride for WWE fans around the world. At first glance, Kurt's outfits may seem similar, but WWE's in-house design team consistently reinvented them, using fresh patterns and color variations to tell new stories each time he appeared. One night, he might wear shimmering stars running down both thighs. Another, he'd emerge with a soaring eagle spread across his back. Every look screamed one message loud and clear: this man represents national pride. Kurt didn't keep that energy to himself. He passed it on to Team Angle, a group of promising young wrestlers under his mentorship, who also wore similarly styled gear. This visual unity gave the group a sense of purpose and professionalism, making them feel like a Real Olympic team fighting under one flag. Kurt Angle captivated audiences not only with his world-class wrestling ability, but also with a personal style that made him instantly recognizable. In a world where everyone tries to stand out, Kurt didn't need flashy tricks. He simply put on that patriotic three-color singlet, and the spotlight naturally followed. 4. Chad Gable, proud heir to the Olympic legacy. Chad Gable isn't just a skilled wrestler with a strong background in amateur wrestling. He's the spiritual successor to a very specific kind of style, the blend of Olympic discipline and American identity. From the moment he entered WWE, Gable impressed fans with his technical brilliance and intelligent match control. But just as eye-catching as his in-ring skills was his choice of attire. Classic one-piece singlets that immediately called back to none other than Kurt Angle. After forming American Alpha with Jason Jordan, and later the Alpha Academy, Gable began carving out his own identity while still honoring those who came before him. His gear often drew direct inspiration from Angle's golden era, featuring red, white, and blue color schemes, symmetrical star patterns, and stylized trims. Small details like a chest-mounted American flag or bold Gable lettering across the back weren't just decorative. They told a story of heritage, ambition, and respect. Gable's outfits never felt over-the-top or flamboyant. They were tight, clean, and disciplined, just like his wrestling. Every time he stepped onto the ramp, he looked less like a sports entertainer and more like an Olympic athlete preparing for war. His wardrobe wasn't about reinvention. It was about consistency, legacy, and quiet excellence. And in an environment filled with neon lights and wild gimmicks, that grounded presence made him stand out in a class of his own. 5. Macho Man, Randy Savage. When attire becomes part of the legend. No one understood the power of image in wrestling quite like Randy Savage. He wasn't just a technically gifted wrestler, he was a performance artist in every sense. His flamboyant, eccentric, yet undeniably iconic ring gear elevated his personal brand to superstar status. While he didn't have the hulking physique of a Hulk Hogan or an Ultimate Warrior, Randy knew exactly how to stand out, by dressing like a neon fever dream straight out of the 80s, where fringe, glitter, and wild color palettes had no limits. Macho Man's outfits were a visual explosion, from glittering robes that swept the floor to oversized sunglasses, flashy cowboy hats, and skin-tight pants in every shade imaginable. Each piece was custom-made by designer Michael Braun and came with a hefty price tag. But Savage never hesitated, because to him, the gear wasn't just clothing. It was a weapon, a signature, a loud declaration to the world, "I'm not like anyone else, and no one else will ever be like me." What made it even more special was that only Randy could pull those looks off. On anyone else, they'd look absurd, maybe even laughable. But Savage had the aura to turn the outrageous into epic. His outfits felt like an extension of his personality, intense, colorful, chaotic, and impossible to ignore. He once said, "I want people to believe I am the Macho Man." And he succeeded, not just with his moves, but with every stitch of fabric he wore. For Randy Savage, wardrobe wasn't just surface, it was the very soul of his legend. 6. Kane, the monster beneath the burning mask. Kane wasn't just one of WWE's most terrifying figures, he embodied mystique and menace like no other. Beyond his towering frame and emotionless presence, what truly cemented his aura was his unforgettable attire, the red and black bodysuit and haunting mask. From his 1997 debut until shedding that mask in 2003, Kane looked like something dragged straight out of hell, silent, slow-moving, and wrapped in fire-forged gear that struck fear at first glance. Throughout the years, Kane's outfits evolved, but the core essence remained: darkness and destruction. The jagged designs, contrasting colors, and signature half-face mask all worked in unison to deepen the character's mythos. Whenever Kane appeared, an eerie hush would fall over the arena, as if the entire crowd collectively held its breath. When the mask came off in 2003, it marked a seismic shift. The storyline exposed a scarred face, but more than that, it revealed something more terrifying: a monster turned man. And somehow, that made him even more dangerous. From that moment on, Kane no longer needed the mask to instill fear. Still, whenever he brought it back in the years that followed, it was like a gateway to his prime, a reminder of when darkness reigned over Raw, and fire erupted from the stage with every step he took. For Kane, ring gear wasn't just a costume. It was identity. It was legend. And for fans, it remains a haunting image forever etched into wrestling history. 7. The Ultimate Warrior, a warrior from a mythic realm. No explanation needed. One look at the Ultimate Warrior and you knew you were witnessing something not of this world. Wild, untamed hair. A chiseled physique sculpted like a comic book hero. Lightning bolt face paint that masked his eyes in symbolic fury. And that neon-colored gear, laced with shimmering tassels wrapped around his biceps and boots. Warrior didn't walk to the ring. He launched himself like a living missile. The moment his music hit, the crowd would ignite, knowing a human hurricane was about to tear through the arena. But it wasn't just his look. Warrior's entire presence was a surreal performance. He sprinted circles around the ring, violently shook the ropes as if trying to rip the ring apart, then unleashed primal screams like signals from another galaxy. His promos, nobody could quite explain them, sometimes not even understand them, but that wasn't the point. It was the way he spoke, the cadence, the passion, like he was channeling power from interstellar gods, that made fans hang on every wild word. What made Warrior truly unforgettable was his absolute commitment to the character. His ever-changing face paint still stayed true to his warrior spirit. His boots exploded with colors that made him look like a superhero mid-transformation. He didn't just wear his gear, he became it. In a world where gimmicks come and go, Warrior stood as an irreplaceable icon. When you looked at him, you didn't just see a wrestler. You saw a childhood dream brought to life, vibrant, explosive, and unlike anything else wrestling had ever known. 8. Sting. From bright lights to haunting shadows. In the early days of his career, Sting was the embodiment of energy. Bleached blonde hair, a face often painted in bold neon colors, and ring gear that screamed 80s surf culture. He was a walking, talking highlight reel. Sting wasn't just a top name in WCW. He was one of the most instantly recognizable figures on TV, thanks to a look that blended comic book flash with athletic charisma. Every outfit, every painted line on his face, made him stand out like a hero leaping off the pages of a graphic novel. Then came the transformation, one no one saw coming, and yet it became the defining chapter of his legacy. In the late 90s, Sting shed the vibrant look and re-emerged as the Crow, a silent, brooding, vigilante-like figure. Gone were the electric colors. In their place was a long black trench coat, a ghost-white face with deep black eye makeup, and a glare that pierced through the soul. He spoke rarely, if ever, instead descending from the rafters or stepping out from the shadows like an omen of vengeance. That dramatic shift is what made Sting immortal. On one hand, he represented the colorful, high-energy spirit of a golden era. On the other, he became the embodiment of chilling silence and unshakable will. Whether he stood in the ring as a neon-clad daredevil or as a stoic specter cloaked in darkness, Sting always left an impact. And his ring attire, evolving from dazzling to ominous, was more than just costume. It was part of the myth. 9. Finn Baylor, When the Demon Awakens. Finn Baylor's ring gear is always striking, but when he emerges as the demon, it becomes something else entirely, utterly hypnotic. This dark persona doesn't show up often, but every time it does, the entire arena holds its breath. What makes it so captivating is the stark contrast between the everyday Finn and the version of him that summons the demon within. The body paint he wears isn't just decoration, it's like a living tapestry drawn from ancient Irish mythology, paying homage to the land where Finn was born. Blackened fangs stretching across his chest, eyes veiled behind eerie, jagged lines. Every detail speaks of a creature not of this world. And the most intriguing part? No two demon transformations are ever the same. Each version is unique, crafted to reflect the emotion, the story, and the rival he faces at that moment in time. Baylor never overuses the persona. He saves it as a final weapon, something sacred, only unleashed when the stakes are at their absolute highest. The moment his entrance music hits and the lights bleed red, everything changes. You're not just watching a wrestler. You're witnessing a ritual. What makes Finn's demon gear legendary is that feeling of reverence it commands. When he dons the war paint and hides behind that mask, he's no longer Finn Baylor. He becomes something ancient, primal, and spine-chilling in its intensity. 10. Shawn Michaels, the showstopper in every way. Shawn Michaels wasn't just the showstopper in the ring. He was a fashion icon unlike anyone else in WWE history. From his confident strut to that signature smirk, every inch of the Heartbreak Kid was engineered to steal the spotlight. And central to that aura was his gear, a fearless fusion of leather, sequins, and razor-sharp design that turned heads the moment he appeared. Behind those unforgettable outfits was Julie Youngberg, a veteran costume designer in the wrestling world. Free from creative limits, she had Shawn's full trust to dream up anything that would make him stand out. The result? Ring attire that no one else could pull off. Printed patterns, shimmering tassels, leather chaps, flashy vests. It all came together to create a look that was rebellious, seductive, and undeniably him. Julie once revealed that her inspiration came from Madonna, and that explains everything. Shawn's style had that same mix of flair, edge, and charm. Pair that with his flowing hair, oversized sunglasses, cowboy hats, and that swagger in every step, and he looked like he belonged on stage with a glam rock band instead of in a wrestling ring. Plenty of champions have graced the WWE ring, but only one man could make the crowd roar just by walking out. Shawn Michaels didn't need a title to be remembered. He was the performance. 11. Ric Flair, the most glamorous man in wrestling. In a world ruled by brute force and battle cries, Ric Flair carved a different path, one paved with elegance, charisma, and aristocratic flair. Among all the wrestlers who've ever stepped into the ring draped in sparkling robes, no one, absolutely no one, could compare to Flair. His robes weren't just outfits. They were statements. Each one served as the perfect opening act for his entrance, silently declaring to the crowd, "This is the Nature Boy. Take a good look, you're witnessing true class." Flair didn't wear those robes for show. He embodied them. Every feather, every shimmering thread was chosen with precision to catch the arena lights and amplify his swagger. The mastermind behind these masterpieces was Olivia Walker, a fashion sorceress in the wrestling world. Her creations cost between $10,000 to $15,000, and Flair never hesitated to invest in being the best-dressed man in the business. "I'm Ric Flair, I don't wear cheap clothes," he once declared. And he meant it. Even in his final match against Shawn Michaels, Flair wore one of his finest robes, as if to bid farewell in the most iconic way possible, wrapped in the very image that defined him. What's remarkable is that his legacy lives on. Charlotte Flair, his daughter, proudly carries on the tradition. On her biggest nights, she dons robes tailored in the same style as her father's legendary pieces. Every time she walks that aisle, Ric Flair reappears, not just as a wrestling legend, but as an eternal fashion icon in the hearts of fans. And there you have it, 11 wrestlers whose ring gear turned heads around the world. From mysterious face paint and glittering robes to outfits that look like they stepped out of a nightmare, each of these performers understood one thing. Wrestling is an art form, and they are artists, using both their bodies and their style to tell a story. Which wrestler's look was your favorite? Who do you think deserved a spot on this list but didn't make it? Drop your thoughts in the comments and share your personal taste with the Wrestling Sphere community. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. Wrestling Sphere, where wrestling stories are told with style.